Hello, Internet. So it's been a while since we've had one of these nice little video chats. I spent most of the month of March onboarding some new coaching clients. And so I want to come to you today and cover some of the common themes that arose through this month of coaching. So these clients, primarily either CEOs in the C-suite, some sort of executive level, or budding entrepreneurs in some capacity. And so among these coaching sessions, a number of common themes emerged despite these clients coming from a variety of different backgrounds and professional domains. Coaching, fundamentally, we're trying to help clients make progress from where they are at the moment towards their goals. That's fundamentally what we're doing as coaches. But how we do this is the client brings these topics. What is this most important issue that you're dealing with right now, and what do you want help thinking through? And so we use questions and reflective inquiry to think through strategies, identify key issues, set priorities, evaluate and overcome obstacles, and engage in forward-looking analysis. That's what coaching is. It's forward-looking. And so these 5 common themes came up in March, and I want to share those with you. First one, and this one comes up frequently, is how do I grow my business? Now, that's a very broad question, and in each coaching session, we're going to be dealing with a very specific topic related to that issue. And in March, we coached around new product integration. How do I get into these target markets? What are the strategies that I use? What's my elevator pitch look like? So lots of questions around what's your product? What are your target markets? What are your current strategies? What's working? What's not? What are some other perspectives we might consider? Another piece of this theme is organizational chart evolution. A company I've worked with for a number of years, off and on, will deal with creating and hiring for key roles that are emerging. As the business grows, it becomes clear that we need to create a new role, and then we need to put that role into the system and figure out how to integrate it and then hire for it. And so we work around different perspectives. What does a candidate profile look like? What does success look like in this role? How's it going to integrate and interface with other stakeholders within the organization, within the supply chain, etc.? And so from that, we get some new insight. Clients able to go back and discuss with that leadership team. Here's what we discussed. Now let's go deeper and let's figure out how within our organization we're going to discuss this as a leadership team. Second theme, dealing with imposter syndrome. And again, these are clients who are very successful, talented individuals, and yet from time to time, even the most successful and talented people deal with this imposter syndrome. And oftentimes this is simply because you're out of your comfort zone or you're out of your zone of expertise. These clients have spent years becoming just masters in their field. One particular client educated at elite institutions and is now fielding opportunities from all angles. And so trying to figure out, all right, how do I translate those skills and talents that made me successful and made me an expert in this other domain? How do those translate to this new domain, and how can I help overcome that learning curve? Or simply just accepting a beginner's mentality in this particular instance. I'm new, I have a lot of learning to do, and we're just going to start attacking that learning curve. So third theme that we talked about, boundaries and establishing your criteria for what you're going to say yes to. And this was really born out of identifying abundance problems with clients. Success is not without its own challenges. When people see you becoming successful, they are going to want to latch onto that. They're going to want to get involved. And so it becomes very important as you start to enjoy some of this success and opportunities come your way, understanding what criteria have to be met for you to go and engage, say yes to that opportunity. Early on in the business, it's tempting to say yes to everything because you need to add clients and you need to learn. But as your business grows and as you grow as a leader, it's time to start understanding what needs to be handed off because it's no longer your job. You need to delegate. Or as opportunities come in, how do we determine what's a good opportunity? What's a good customer? What's a good strategic partnership? We've got to establish some criteria and some priorities so that what we say yes to moves us towards those goals instead of just spinning our wheels. Fundamentally, it's about boundaries and understanding that just because you can do something doesn't mean you should or have to. Topic number 4, difficult or emotionally charged conversations. And this one comes up somewhat frequently. Coaching is a great opportunity to work through upcoming conversations, whether it is upward facing, you've got to have a difficult conversation with a manager, or whether that's downward facing. You're a manager and you're going to have a challenging discussion with one of your direct reports. So oftentimes in this situation, clients bring this up because they get stuck in this loop of awfulizing. They identify one or two things that either cause some anxiety or they're just worried. There's some fear about what's going to happen. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's not going to go a good way. And I had a client stuck in this particular loop this month. And obviously that avoidance isn't going to move anything forward. So we've got to figure out, all right, how do we go into this conversation with the mindset of what is a good outcome? And that question just changed everything for the client. Honestly, I hadn't even thought about it that way. So we defined a good outcome, and then we worked through some strategies for if we start shifting off of our key points, our key takeaways, how do we bring the conversation back? How do we deal with some of the emotional stuff that might come up? Again, maintain your leadership poise, your presence. Honestly, that's what leadership is in a lot of ways. It's about who can stay cool, calm, and collected under pressure, can deal with all the things that come up when stress and difficulties arise, and avoid that impulsive desire just to act to do something, and instead stop and say, this is the process. This is the framework that we go through, the decision-making criteria that we've established. Just because things are difficult or hectic, we're not going to deviate from what has made us successful. So that really can be a way to get through these difficult or emotionally challenging conversations. Define that good outcome and stay focused on that. And then evaluate, what could come up and how do we work through those difficulties in that conversation. And then finally, clarifying your career or leadership goals, and then moving into a proactive posture more than anything. So many times clients are sitting here wondering, I need someone to tell me what to do. What should I do in this scenario? And whenever that comes up, my answer is, I don't really know. Because I'm not the one making the decision. And so in this instance, we've got to shift out of this reactive or responsive mindset where, okay, what should I do? What ought I do? Who can tell me what to do? Begin with the end in mind. What are your goals? Where do you want to take your career? Where do you want to take leadership, your business, whatever it might be? But sitting here waiting for someone to tell you what you should do is probably the last thing that we want to do. By all means, use a coach, talk to mentors, get advice from friends and family, people who've been through this type of situation before. But in the end, you have got to clarify and define your short-term, your intermediate term, and your long-term goals. Ideally, you're doing this holistically. You're integrating the professional aspect, the personal aspect, your hobbies, your other goals that you've got for this spin on this blue and green planet. We have a limited amount of time. What do you want to achieve? How are you going to achieve it? We work with the end in mind, and then we create alignment working backwards. We identify and rank priorities with respect to that career or leadership path. What are the benchmarks we need to hit to tell us that we are on the right track? How will we know if we're getting off track, and what do we do to shift back to that desired pathway? That's a lot of coaching. It's about getting us back on that path where we can see our goals in sight. They may be a long way off, but we can see them, and we see a pathway there. And so these were our 5 themes for the month. Scaling the business, very common, and oftentimes the most important thing for young CEOs or new entrepreneurs, whatever that might be. Dealing with imposter syndrome. What got you here won't get you there, but you have everything you need already. You are talented, you are successful, you are creative, resourceful, and whole. You just need to apply those skills and talents that you have in maybe a different way. Boundaries and establishing criteria for yes. Opportunities come along. How will you know what's right, and how will you determine ranking those opportunities and choosing with your limited bandwidth what you want to devote your time, talent, energy, and resources to? Create those boundaries, establish that criteria for what you're going to say yes to and why. And then finally, dealing with difficult or emotionally charged conversations and clarifying career and leadership goals. Sometimes these go hand in hand. We've got to have those difficult conversations with our bosses or our direct reports because we're out of alignment. Either the job isn't getting done right or the job isn't right for the person. But whatever it is, we've got to go ahead and step into that area of discomfort and address these issues and keep working towards those long-term, intermediate-term, and short-term goals. So if any of these 5 themes resonate with you, by all means, check me out, ascentmethod.com. Let's set up some sample coaching, go through it, and we'll work through some of these particular issues facing you and your career. Until then, have a great rest of your day. Thanks for watching.